Welcome to another episode of Business Monday, where we have different experts of their field to come and share their expertise with us because we believe knowledge is power. Today, we wanted to talk about something such as a sensitive issue for a lot of women. A lot of us feel like that because we're a woman, or maybe English is not our first language. We find it hard to actually take the role of being in leadership. Today, I have a leadership expert, Angela, here to share with us her view on how to actually make us feel more confident stepping into a lady leadership role. Hi, Angela. Thank you so much for coming onto our space today.
Hi, Martha. Thank you for having me.
Please share with us your who you are and what you do.
Oh, I thought you were going to do that for me. Not.
Oh, but nothing better than you talking about it yourself.
Okay, so in a nutshell, I have been a leadership and human skills trainer and coach for 27 years. I have lived in 10 different countries. I have worked in 16. I've done all sorts of different things all around the world, and I love what I'm doing. And my goal is always to support people in having not only a productive work life, but a fulfilling life overall.
That is beautiful. I have been known Angela for over 2 years now. She's always this beautiful person sharing with us some expertise in what she's good at. And her area is definitely leadership and human skill. And I find that for a lot of ladies that are in our age, which is the over 40 bracket, we find out that we may be in our leadership position, but not feeling like that they are the leader. So, what are some of the challenges that you find that women in leadership actually faced?
We still have the glass ceiling. There's
Hmm.
still this whole thing that that women are perceived to go to a certain level and then stop. And there's also this whole thing about stereotypes, like, I mean, I have literally seen men keep track of menstrual cycles of women. There are all sorts of interesting things that women face that men don't even think about. And so it's really, we've made a lot of advancements, but we are also still stuck in household chores. Women still do 80% of household chores, and that didn't change during the pandemic when both partners were working from home. It was still the women doing all the work. So it's really hard for women to get into this place of I'm feeling really empowered to take on leadership roles that require me to possibly travel, to be not there. Now I'm totally generalizing here. There are some really supportive partners out there. I've also experienced those, but a lot of the time it's still that traditional viewpoint that women should be able to do both.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, you have magazines like Cosmopolitan that support this model, this superwoman model, where the woman is supposed to do everything, and so therefore women often don't want to get into another role because they feel that they're going to fail.
Mm. I hear you because like we just came back from a cruise with 11 women going on to yeah, the girls 40 plus cruise together. And I
Mm.
noticed that a lot of women, even some of them are lawyer, like company owners that have over 30 staff, they still feel like that they're this person that have to do anything
Yeah.
and everything for their family, for their business and things like that. So what advice would you give to women who are aspire in this leadership role to feel like less discouraged?
Well, first of all, work on your self-esteem. Realize that women generally work twice as hard in order to get where a man generally gets by working much less. Stop working so hard. You don't have to be perfect. It's enough when you work in progress. So, and just realize that because a lot of men are doing things much faster than women. They just do the what's it called? PVC. Um, oh no. Anyway, the thing that says this is the acceptable level of accomplishment, whereas women often go above and beyond. So they will be perfectionist about what they hand in because they know that they're either going to be judged more harshly, but they also judge themselves much more harshly. They feel that they have to exceed all of the expectations. So drop your expectations, do a good job. And I'm not saying that you need to be bad at it. Please don't get me wrong. It's about saying it's good enough.
Yeah.
So it's about being able to say, I've done the best I could under the circumstances with the resources I had, but you don't need to go above and beyond because you think that that's going to distinguish you.
Yeah.
Um, the other thing that I can highly recommend is get yourself a mentor. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of women don't network the way men do. Men are, you've heard of the good old network, boys network. Women don't generally do that. And there is still that perception out there that women are in competition with each other. I had a really long discussion with this on the weekend with two friends where he had one opinion and she had a totally different one. It was really interesting to sit in the middle. And he thought, no, everything's good. Women are good to go. And she said, no, 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 they're not. And he could not understand that. He really wanted to, but he couldn't. He said, but women work together really well. And she said, yes, they do to a certain degree. We need to work together better. And I
I
agree.
yeah.
We
I
do
think
not do the networking as well as men do.
mm,
There's still a little bit of competitiveness in there.
mm,
And I give you a very basic example. We support each other, like we support each other, right? But there's still sometimes this thing that women take things much more personal than men.
I hear
Yeah.
you.
So when there is conflict, women will chew on that and they won't let go. So I have facilitated meetings and like the women would get out of that meeting and harumph and be really upset when they walked away because they couldn't find agreement. And the men would say, okay, so who wants to go for a beer? And everybody would go, oh, let's go. And they would just drop it immediately. So there's a different way of working together. So if we could just stop taking things personally and just saying, this is work and this is our personal relationship, I think we would advance much faster into more leadership roles.
Oh, I hear you so clearly because, like, wanting a social media group, we understand that there will be different opinions and
Mm.
values. And unfortunately, I do notice that a lot of us who are the author of the post will take things to a personal level instead of realizing that we're just respecting others' people's opinion. They tend to actually take it to heart, and then I will receive a private message saying that, oh, like, this person is ABC. I'm like, I looked at it, I'm like, it's actually not too bad. It's just like expressing their view.
Mm.
But a lot of us, because we have that lack of belief in ourselves, that
Yeah.
that realizing that we are the leader, we can actually lead. And I think that we criticize ourselves so badly. And when people don't actually align with us, we get like not inspiration, we get validation from them saying that, okay, yes, she's right, I'm not good enough, and that insecurity is starting to fight back and come and bite people.
Yes. And it's so unnecessary. Because as I said, we are generally twice as good as guys. And I'm completely generalizing here, but it is often the case we have to work much harder in order to get somewhere. And
Mm,
that's I would, as much as I would love to change it, it's simply reality.
mm. That is true. That is true. So, how do you believe women's leadership style is different from men, and what are the unique strengths does women bring to a leadership role?
Women are much more highly emotionally intelligent than men.
Mm,
Again, I'm totally generalizing. So I'm polarizing here, but I've met some very emotionally intelligent men, but they were also not the typical leaders.
mm,
So women are much more inclusive. They are very good at gathering groups together. So they create relationships. So they create a team that's often um, where people stay around much longer than when they work for men. So that's a fact. And I've also seen women who in high leadership roles who would leave a role and take their whole team with them. So the whole team would just decide to go with her. And so there's an ability to create a culture that is much stronger for men. Men focus more on effectiveness and task completion and performance. And women focus often on creating an environment where people can deal with difficult situations. Like I don't like the word conflict because conflict, if you look up the definition of conflict in the dictionary, it's actually conflict resolution is mutually exclusive. So so women communicate better in that sense that they're more participatory, so they invite people more into the conversation. A guy will often direct, and Women like building consensus. So so when you've got somebody who's willing to have dialogue and discussing things, you're also building potentially new leadership. Whereas when you are in that directive mode, men are often in, you are creating great followers. So I think we need more women because they encourage often the ability to create, like for people to follow in their footsteps, for more empathy, for more fulfillment at work, for more, again, for more for more inclusion as well.
I think so. I think so because like that's what we wanted to see in our group as well, to actually let people know that you can follow a certain leader and
Mm.
follow those experts in their view instead of just listening to everyone out there. I don't mean offensive in saying these things, but it is my truth. So I'm going to share. I find that there's a lot of people who act smart, but they're not there yet, but we keep continuing to act smart because we've been told we have to show our best side
Yeah.
instead of showing our vulnerability or letting other people help us. We tend to pretend that we knows everything and we can actually take on the best. We stop asking for help, we stop asking for support, we even stop getting mentors and guidance into our life. So that's where it gets us stuck in that mentality that we're not good enough, but we have to fight and bite everyone's head off to be able to actually get where we wanted to go. So that's what the terms that I say. There's a lot of not very smart people pretending to be smart. And you have to be very, very careful looking at the right person that aligns with you, that have that consistency in their word. Do their word is consistent of what they say, or they keep changing based on where the wind is coming in. And I believe I completely agree with you that women are very, very intelligent. We sometimes can feel in our gut something is wrong, and it is up to us to actually have that confidence to say no to something and do it with respect. That's what I always
Yeah.
say onto that.
The problem when you said, like this whole thing, fake it until you make it. That's the model that you're supposed to have as a male leader. As a male leader, you're not supposed to show any weakness. Vulnerability is known as weakness, whereas vulnerability is actually a strength. But the problem is if a woman shows any kind of emotion or any kind of vulnerability, she's either labeled hysterical or not fit enough, doesn't have authority, or any of those labels that come up. I mean, I've been doing this for a very long time, and I keep hoping that things will change, but there are still occasions where men just sit there and say, she's just not made for leadership. She's just too soft. She just, she's not performance oriented enough, all of these things. So again, I mean, it's changing very slowly because we get some more gentle male leaders in as well. But it's a slow process. We've got some really old-fashioned, outdated beliefs out there. I call the men who perpetuate this whole top-down, parental style. I call them the dinosaurs, and I hope they're going extinct very quickly.
I love that. I love that saying. So, what are the biggest barrier that prevent more women from reaching the leadership position, and how can those barriers be
Mm.
overcome?
Well, as I mentioned before, it's the work-life balance issues. It's the, still doing the child rearing, still the emergency contact. I had a coaching session with a guy who couldn't let go of his phone. Like no matter what I said, would you just maybe remove it? No, he had need to have it. And so it did the whole vibrating thing. And he looked and he went, oh. And then he put the phone down and I said, what? He said, oh, my daughter was just admitted into hospital. And I said, and you're still sitting here? And he's like, oh yeah, my wife is taking care of it. And I said, and she's got the flexibility to do that. Oh no, she's got a job too. And I said, and so she's expected to go and attend to the child. He's like, yeah, no, she'll take care of it. And I'm like, no, she's not. As far as I'm concerned, this session is finished and we can debrief this the next time I see you.
Mm,
Because, there is still, women are still the emergency contacts.
mm.
There is a lot of load on women. And when they leave their jobs, I mean, now with working from home and hybrid and all of that, it's become somewhat a little bit easier. But again, there is still that perception out there that women are the main supporters of families and children. The other thing is again the stereotypes that I mentioned before, and then of course it's the lack of access to mentors. I think we need to have more mentors, women who mentor other women,
Yes.
especially again leaderships, for women in leadership, mentoring women who either aspire to be in leadership roles or who are already in leadership roles. Because as they say, it's lonely at the top. If you don't have anybody you can talk to, authentically being vulnerable, maybe, share some of the things and the challenges that you're going through, it's gonna get very difficult. And women are not built to those ivory tower to be ivory towers like men, who
Mm,
often end up late in life with very few social connections.
mm,
And we know that social connection is what determines life expectancy.
mm.
So that's one of the reasons why women live much longer. But we are much more again, we don't network professionally, we network personally.
Mm.
So it's the ability to have a personal network, but also a professional network, and have mentors who support you in for your growth.
I agree with you. So what I think that like coming from someone who's an introvert myself, no one believes that I am, but I am an introvert myself that I find it hard to actually go out and network. And
Mhm.
I find that like before my thinking was like if you're going to a networking event, you are selling people, you're selling yourself, you're selling, selling, selling. So what are the correct mindset when you're actually going into a networking event?
Well, the thing I find is often women go into networking events and they think they need to make friends. So, and my general comment to that is you're not going there to find new best friends. You're not taking them home for a barbecue on the weekend. They are there to get you to know you as a professional, and you don't have to sell to people. You can do that after if you feel that you want to meet them. You make with anything. You don't make a sales pitch immediately when you meet somebody within the first 5 minutes. And when you go to networking events, you often don't have that much time.
Mm,
It's you generally have enough time to meet somebody and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, and then you move to the next person. You start working with people once you have been to several networkings. Often you need to go for an extended period of time. You do not go there once, sell, go away, and never come back. You build the relationships, and that's the whole thing of building the network that allows you then to also refer, which is one thing that men, again, do really, really well. Oh, you need this done. I know a blog. And we need to do more of that. But then the networking, to understand that networking is something where you get to know someone professionally, and then you can ease, maybe a little bit later, you can ease into something that's a little bit more personal. But it's not going to be a social network from the place of, oh, you need a babysitter. I'll do that for you.
I hear you. I hear you. So, what are some of the strategies do you recommend for building a supportive network for women leaders to empower and uplift each other?
There are a lot of networks out there, lots of them. And this one,
Mm,
go out and find these and create yourself a circle where you find support and empowerment. Like for the longest time, I ran a very informal group that was called Women in People Business. And I had, we were generally about 12 to 15 women, and we would get together every couple of months and just have dinner together and just talk. And we did that for a few years. And I'm still in touch with a lot of these women because it was just so supportive. And it's not that we talk about, again, we talked about business things. We talked about what was going on for us. Where did we need help at work? So, so all of these topics that are really relevant. I've got this situation. How would you deal with this? And it took all the judgment out, and it wasn't competitive, and it wasn't the, oh, you're doing that too. It was the, oh, you're doing that too. So we started celebrating together, which is, I think that's an important mind shift to have. And share your successes. Go and tell people you're doing something right and you're doing something important and you've just had a win. So other people can celebrate with you. I call them sunshine people because, you can spread sunshine or you can spread fog. So if you want to spread sunshine and you're surrounded by sunshine people, you shine your light but much more brightly. And I think that's important. We need to actually support people in shining.
I agree with you. The best way for us to promote ourselves is to help others to lift up as
Mhm.
well. That's how I see that you can build a beautiful supportive network instead of just trying to take people's money. I think a lot of people when they were like me, thinking that networking is just about building your business and building your money. It's not about that. It's actually about understanding how we can support each other and actually building up a beautiful network together. That's one of the reasons that the only networking group that I'm in is in the Be Connected network. That's how I find that everyone are genuinely to wanting to help each other, wanting to support each other. And
Yeah.
like Angela is definitely one of our leaders in there too, to actually help a lot of us. I have some private conversation with Angela. She helped me a lot as well. And also being able to talk to other people who have been there, done that, and
Yeah.
when we're just starting our business. And I think that will be a very, very good way. So,
Yeah.
Angela, please tell people, how do they reach out to you?
Well, you can find me through my website, angelaheise.com, and there's a contact page, and then you can have a half-hour exploration session with me for free if you would like to. And then you can follow me on LinkedIn, connect with me, have a chat with me. I always like talking to people. You can also do a quiz. I have a quiz on my website that will teach you a little bit about where you're at with your human skills, which I
Mhm.
think are more important than ever before. And yeah, just get in touch.
Great. With a few minutes that we have left, can you
Mhm.
tell us more about human skill? What is it?
Human skills are all those skills that we're supposed to have, but that nobody really teaches us. So it's how to manage your emotions, how to recognize emotions in the first place, instead of saying, I'm fine, which we all know is an acronym, and it stands for, and it's a bit saucy, fucked up, irrational, neurotic, emotionally unavailable. I'm fine.
Love that.
So really knowing how you feel. It's about knowing how to listen, and listen to hear, not to respond. It's the ability to have difficult conversations. It's the ability to negotiate boundaries and needs. Women especially need to have those skills to be able to say no without feeling guilty. It's also self-care. And self-care is not just sleep, water, and food. It's much more than that. It
Yes.
includes karaoke singing.
Oh, I like that. Okay, I'm on.
Well, that's your
Definitely.
self-care. You love that.
Yeah,
It
I love that.
right? I mean, it recharges your batteries when you do.
Mm,
So
definitely.
all of these skills that we really need to have. And now with AI and more online work, like we only see parts of our bodies,
Mm.
when body language is so important. All of those skills, those are the things that I've been working on for a long time.
That would be amazing. I would love to have you come back to actually talk a little bit more about human skill
Mm.
to all of us. We'll probably have you come back on one of our Knowledge is Power webinar session to actually learn
I would
more from you, Angela.
I would be delighted to. Thank you,
Oh, that
Martha.
would be amazing. Thank you for giving your time and expertise with us today. Thank you for all our listeners and audience to have joined us again on Business Monday, where we support you in business and helping you to be the best version of yourself. And I look forward to seeing all of you next week.
Thank you so much, Martha.